Hallelujah. Amen.
Well, thank you, Craig, and good evening. Welcome to the Sanctuary live on this Monday night here at Matthews United Methodist Church for the Spring 2021 All-Church Gathering. I'm Rick Benjamin. It's great to be with you. Our lay leader, Carol Hatcher, is here tonight. Pastor Chuck Wilson here, Pastor Paul Craig, and Carol, I know there's a lot of ground you want to cover with us.
There is. Thanks, Rick. And thank you, Craig and Kathy, for starting us off in such a beautiful way this evening. And I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Our last gathering was 6 months ago. Our next gathering, I'm hoping, will be in person. That's something that we're all excited about. We've had some wonderful virtual capabilities here, but it is not the same as having that person in the pew next to you or saying hello to the person in the hall. So Pastor Paul is going to be sharing how in just 2 weeks you'll have the ability to come back to church in person. Some other things, I've had people who have mentioned the equipment that they've seen around the church. We're going to be sharing a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about how even in the pandemic there has not been a pause at our church and how we've been reaching out to the community and our missional partners.
A lot to talk about for sure. Ministries have continued and grown in many cases. We have an exciting newer ministry to talk about a little later on tonight as well. And Pastor Chuck, as always, if you could get us started again on the right foot with a word of prayer tonight, that would be great.
And just before I pray, I want to tell you a little bit about the prayer that I'm going to share with you. It's a prayer written by our very own Amy DeVore, part of the life and ministry of our church, formerly led us in Global Impact Ministries. And so she writes this as a personal prayer, but I'm going to change it a little bit and make it a prayer for all of us tonight. So, let's pray. Dear God, save us from our pride so that we may be humble. Save us from our selfishness so that we might focus outward, not inward. Save us from our ego so that we might put others first. Save us from our need to always speak our voice so that we can listen to the voices that are rarely heard. Save us from our privilege so that we can learn from others' experiences and wisdom. Save us from our closed-mindedness so that we might be open to possibilities. Save us from our busyness so that we might be still and hear your voice. Save us from our need to be right so that we might focus upon getting it right. Save us from wanting to lead the way and be in front so that we might follow or walk alongside. Save us from our inaction, our indecision, and our indifference so that you might lead us to godly actions, grace-filled decisions, and deep compassion to make a difference in this world. God, you brought Jesus to be our Savior. Please transform us and save us all from ourselves. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Chuck. Great way to get things started for us tonight. Maybe the most exciting bit of news we want to talk a lot about here this evening is our return to actual in-person worship, which is coming up very soon when we get to the month of May on Mother's Day weekend. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But if you're brand new to the ministries and the life of Matthews United Methodist Church, we have a video we'd like you to take a look at that will tell you a little bit more about this wonderful church family.
Matthews United Methodist is a community of hope. COVID may have silenced our halls, but it won't quiet our passionate hearts. Love is loud. It can be felt in everyday moments, providing lasting impact in times of connection. We are reminded that church is not where we meet, but rather how we live and share Jesus' love with others. Our collective vision to care for the vulnerable and marginalized beyond our walls is made possible through the generosity of our community. We seek a journey of personal growth, turning to the Bible as our guide, and listening to wisdom in the Word to bring focus to our lives. We act together to reach out in love by bringing joy, prioritizing the needs of others, and encouraging our neighbors. We commit ourselves to a journey of understanding and to be bridge builders for equality and justice. We shine our lights to show the world who we are as we fulfill our mission to reach, teach, praise, and serve. We are hopeful.
May the peace of Christ
be with you.
We are thriving. We are Matthews.
Strange, but in many ways a wonderful 13 months. It's hard to think of it being wonderful during this time of COVID, but the things that have been created here, the things that God has done in this church just are awesome, I think. Pastor Paul Craig is with us, Carol, to talk more about when we actually do get to come back in the sanctuary.
Tell us what we can expect in 2 weeks.
Well, in 2 weeks, we'll be able to open the reservation line for people all across the church to make reservations to be at one of our 3 morning services, and we do have some adjusted times just for this period. We'll have a 9:15 contemporary, our 11 o'clock traditional, and then our 12:45 Spanish service. So you can do onrealm.org. You can go there, make your reservations. There's a simple set of questions there to answer, and you can make your reservations based on the numbers, and you'll get a confirmation back with some instructions. It deals with everything from wearing your mask in church to how we stand out in the gathering space, how we're seated, and the ways that we'll worship. And all that, of course, depends on any changes in the governor's orders and also what the bishop then recommends to us. So
Which could happen anytime.
that's right. We could plan today and it could go out the window tomorrow morning, but we'll do our best to be flexible.
The goalposts have moved several times in the
Yes,
course
they
of
have.
this, haven't they?
Yes, they
What's
have.
the idea behind having folks need to register to come into the building?
Great question. It's because right now we're under a limited number of seats that are available inside. And so we have our sanctuary spaced out as best as we can figure. And so we have about 175 seats, give or take, and we allow some over and above that for guests or visitors who walk in, who see cars here. But we've distanced those, and when we count out the sanctuary, not including the stage up here, the chancel space, we have about 175 seats. So this allows us to make reservations so that people don't come and be turned away. That'd be really bad. So that will be open to the whole congregation Mother's Day.
Great, that's exciting.
What about the situation with folks who might not feel comfortable yet coming back to the building? A lot of us have been thrilled to be able to be here as kind of the crash test dummies the last couple of weeks in this, but for folks who were thinking, gee, I'm just not ready yet, what would you say to them?
Well, 2 things really important for them, and that is that we will have masks on, at least for the time being. We have masks on, we're spatially distant. We bring people in and seat them so they're not so close to each other. So we're taking all the precautions that we possibly can. But if you still feel vulnerable or aren't quite ready to come back, just want to put your toe in the water, we will continue live streaming all those services on those adjusted schedules for the time being, and maybe on into the future permanently. So those are always options for people.
Of course, young people and young children are part of the lifeblood of this church community. What about the nursery? Will the nursery reopen in 2 weeks?
I would love to open the nursery. Our concern is that we've been advised all across the board that children's programming is the most volatile because our kids, while they often don't get COVID in the same numbers that some of us who are more mature get them, it does mean that children can be facilitators of that. So, most of our nursery workers are volunteers, and so they've expressed a concern that we're responsive to, that it would be like going into a store and being accompanied by a group of 6 or 8 or 10 people you have not seen ever, maybe certainly in the last couple of weeks. So as soon as more of the population is vaccinated and people feel more comfortable, we'd love to be able to make that available. We know that's a huge need for families. And so in this interim time, however long that may be, people are certainly welcomed, invited to bring their families into church, and it's been great hearing children and seeing children. And we have children's time during worship at both of our 9:15 and 11 o'clock services just for those kids who come with parents.
Really nice.
It's been great to see.
In terms of other things that have been offered here for so long, adult classes on Sundays, small group meetings, we're a church of small groups. When will those elements be able to come back online?
One of the limitations for space is not only in the sanctuary, but it's inside the building. Right now, we're under a mandate of no more than 50 people who can be socially distant of 6 feet. So right now, we only have a few rooms in the church other than the sanctuary that are large enough to accommodate a group of 30 or 40 people. That's kind of a maximum that we can accommodate. So really about 3 rooms for that. So we have already begun to make reservations for groups to come back who are smaller than that. Or who can spatially distance themselves in the gym or the commons and have gatherings there. So as soon as either the distancing narrows or some of the regulations ease up, we'd be glad to make those reservations when we can. But if you want to call and check the size of your group against available rooms, we can certainly help you know that that's available or not.
Now, we have some video that you want to show everyone that talks a little bit more about the procedures that are in place, correct?
We do, and it was done with a lot of fun. It was fun to watch, and I hope will be fun to see. Admittedly, because of the fast pace of the way the protocols are adjusting based on the science, some of it may be outdated, but even the outdated stuff will give you a hint of where we've been during our test period of these last 6 weeks, and maybe you can see some things that you'll enjoy seeing.
All right, let's take a look. It must have killed Chuck DeLong to be silent for that long. That's all I have to say. All right. A lot of interesting things have been going on in our church, as we all know. A big project today to help more people get vaccinated, right?
We sponsored a vaccination clinic for our community today. And then on May 22nd, we're doing a blood drive in the parking lot. And these were all in the church newsletter. Chuck, Paul mentioned that you can go on Realm to register, but there are a lot of other ways you can get information from the church. You can go on Realm and click on the news. You can go to the church website, and while you're on the church website, please register for Pastor Chuck's Just These Lines to come into your mailbox every Wednesday.
Don't miss them. If you don't get them yet, be sure you don't miss them.
And also for the Friday celebration newsletter. So if you can connect in these ways, you will always be informed of what we have going on here.
Speaking of being informed, John Pollock is here. He chairs our administrative council here at Matthews United Methodist, and that's the body that does a lot of the work of deciding where we go as a church, right? Good to see you, John.
Tell us what's been happening these past few months.
Everything. It's been quite a ride for all of us. It's been difficult, challenging, but rewarding all at the same time.
In terms of the things that have been going on, I get questions all the time, and I don't have an official standing at the moment in the church. How are we doing financially? How's giving been these days?
It's kind of a remarkable story. We finished last year pretty much on budget, and so far this year we're doing the same thing. Now let me say that over the last couple of years our revenues have dropped by 10%, and we've had to adjust because of that, and we've reduced our expenses, and through heroic efforts by our laity staff and our pastoral staff, we've been able to keep everything going with less. But we haven't given up anything in terms of delivering what's needed for the congregation and for the community at large. So we should all be very proud of how we've been able to maintain and continue in the face of this pandemic. And even after 15 months, we're still stroking.
It's amazing when you think about all the good things that have happened. When you drive in, if you haven't driven in the parking lot lately, you might notice it looks a little different when you get out of the car. Tell us about that.
Well, it was an opportunity to get that done. A great credit goes to the trustees led by Gene Monago. But we have repaired, resurfaced, and restriped the parking lot. So as we regather in a couple of weeks, you'll see a refreshed and renewed parking lot. This is going to buy us about 4 to 6 years of wear, and they did it very economically, thank God, and it's going to provide a much safer surface for people to use, and gives us some time to really look at it.
Some equipment, some construction going on behind the sanctuary. What's going on there?
Well, our columbarium is moving forward at a rapid pace now. And we're excited about that, and I know David Bingham has been sending out updates on a regular basis, and thanks to him and Mary Ayers, their leadership as a subcommittee of the trustees as we move forward on that. But it looks like by this summer that columbarium is going to be completed, so that's exciting to see.
What's the status as we go forward of our preschool space? So what's that going to be used for in the next months?
Well, we have just signed a contract to have the Telra Institute open a K through 3 program here within the confines of our church. It's an exciting new concept, an opportunity for the community of Matthews. We're happy to come alongside them since we have the opportunity to utilize our space, and we're excited about that. And we're excited about what Telra is bringing to us as a result of that contract.
I see a shot there of our playground area. Is that undergoing some changes now, too?
Absolutely, and that'll be completed by June, also led by the trustees. I'm very proud to say that not one penny of the general fund was used in the repair of the playground. Money came from the preschool fund that was garnered by the parents. Telra Institute's contributing $25,000 toward the project. We had money come out of the trustees, and we've also had some direct gifts. So all that means the playground's fully paid for, and that doesn't impact the general fund budget.
And that space, of course, that our kids can use, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Understood also that there were some technology upgrades that Telra was helping us with?
Well, Telra is going to be bringing technology into their classrooms. That's one of their big charges and one of the reasons that the school's so special. And what's really phenomenal is that all the technology that they put in the classrooms will remain with MUMC when they leave. So that's quite a contribution that they're making to us, and we'll be able to utilize that technology for our congregation and for children in ministries.
Sounds like a good way to put that space to use in the months.
Right,
Absolutely.
that's right, great.
And you talked at the beginning about giving and where we stand today, and it's healthy, I think, considering everything everybody's been through in the last year plus with COVID. There are several different buckets, if you will, that people can use to help fund operations here. Why don't you talk a little bit about those?
Absolutely. There are 4 different ways that you can contribute and donate to the church. First is through the general fund. That's what you hear about tithes and gifts and special offerings every Sunday. That's what powers the general fund. And that general fund is what covers the expenses of the church. So it's salaries, it's benefits, it's maintenance, it's cleaning the church. It also funds the internal ministries here, children's ministry, youth ministry, congregational care, various and other things, but that is all comes under the general fund. Second bucket is Refresh and Renew, which people may recall is part of our annual call out at the Joe S. Chest, and was started several years ago. And that money goes to trustees for use for the facilities to either upgrade, improve, or repair through those contributions.
The parking lot.
Such as the parking lot. So that's very important stream. Third is our endowment, which is led by our endowment committee led by Terry Eford. And that's a way for people through estate planning and direct gifts to invest in the future of the church, because that money goes into funds that will earn interest and income, and that income will then be used in the funds to operate the church without touching the principal. So it's a perpetual giving that you're doing when you're going through the endowment. And last but not least is our GIC. This is our missions outside the 4 walls of the church, both locally, nationally, internationally. John McClendon leads that group, and people ask me all the time, can we do more missions? I say, yeah, give more money to GIC and we'll do more mission work. But John leads a tremendously dedicated group. It's exciting what they were able to accomplish even through the pandemic, not only through their ongoing ministries, but also through their emergency funds that they were able to distribute into our local community when we had the greatest needs. So very proud of that.
Yeah.
We're going to be hearing more about that tonight.
We sure are. Global Impact's been around for more than 10 years now. We were talking before we came on here tonight about how many years has Global Impact been here? And I took a wild guess and said I think 15, but it was a little less than that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Just a little bit less.
I think it's about 10 or 12.
Yeah.
John's going to let us know.
Yeah. John McClendon's going to come on and talk with us. John Pollock, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate that. John McClendon will make his way up and take that seat now. And Global Impact, Carol, is one of those things that I think sometimes it's a little below the radar for some members of our congregation. Would you agree with that?
I think that we hear about it big one time a year, but it's going on strong all through the calendar year, and we've had some unique opportunities to connect with that and with some of our partners through our virtual mission trips, which have been fantastic. And John's going to share with us a little bit more about all of that.
And Global Impact Chair John McClendon joins us here tonight. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm great, thank you. It's great to be here.
Good to have you with us tonight. What is it about Global Impact that fires you up on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's the engagement in partnerships. It's the creating serving opportunities, and that's kind of foundational to what Global Impact is. Global Impact is the centralized effort for the people of Matthews to be able to go outside the 4 walls and serve our missional partners. So what pumps me up are the relationships. We really have a great time, whether you've been on mission or not. If you've gone to serve at any of these, it's not only the work that's done that you get excited about and the accomplishments there, but it's also the internal relationships, the fellowships within. I've had such great opportunities to meet so many members within the church just by, stepping outside my comfort zone and going with a group that maybe I wasn't completely familiar with.
That's what everybody comes back talking about. Really.
Sure, yeah.
In terms of the pandemic, it's had such an impact on American life, as we know. Certainly it's impacted what Global Impact can do. How would you say the ministry has survived, thrived, or changed over the last year plus?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, we, through the first 8 or 10 months of the pandemic, when everything shut down, we were able to, gift our missional partners with a little over $24,000, and that's from the giving of this church. That's from the intentional giving to Global Impact that allowed us to do that. But we were able to do that because we've been engaged in these partnerships, right? We were able to listen and respond based on the needs when the pandemic hit early on. We built some really creative, interactive experience with the drive-through Bethlehem. We had an opportunity to bring in our angel tree gifts. We've always been able to sign up for them and bring them to the church. Well, we had to set up a time that we were going to be here because we were closed down. We were able to, raise items and funds for Common Heart and Roof Above at that same time. It's just really there's been a lot of things that have been done a little bit differently because of the pandemic, but we've been able to respond to it. Meal packing parties for Greenway Park, pajama folding parties for Promise Pajamas, and donation drives for CRM, Charlotte Rescue Mission. We currently have a donation drive right now with Disciple Bible Outreach Ministry, collecting items for the incarcerated as they're released. So we've tried to be very active and intentional to give opportunities and face this.
And you even found out Zoe Empowers had certain needs during this time in Kenya that
Yeah.
we could respond to?
Yeah, absolutely. So Zoe Empowers, what a story. I mean, it's just a fantastic missional partners of ours, as you can guess. But, the whole concept is to empower, which is what missions is really about. Empower them to have the tools and the ability to do what they need to do to thrive within themselves. And man, they have done a great job. Frank Brown is our international contact, and he has just really taken Zoe Empowers to another level with us. It's incredible what they've done.
And I understand during COVID that not only did we assist them, but they in turn assisted their community.
Yeah, that's exactly right? That's the whole point of empowerment, right? They were taught what was needed to be done during COVID. And then they relayed that message within their own communities and became really a resource.
Right.
And how uplifting is that for, those empowerment groups, they're young. They're
very
kids,
young,
to be honest, right? But
they're not
they were
watching
empowered.
Netflix.
Absolutely not. That's right. So it's awesome. It really is.
I think when most people think of Global Impact, they think about the Global Impact celebration that's held in February normally
Sure.
in a typical year. How did you react this year to not being able to do that here at the church?
Yeah, well, you know what? The delivery was different, but the message was the same. And that's what was awesome about it. Yes, it was virtual to a degree. Pastor Chuck and Pastor Brad gave a message on the front and the back end. We had Kathy Izzard come in and deliver a message virtually. I shouldn't say come in. Delivered a message virtually on her book, The 100-Story Home, that talks about the plight of the homeless and how important that community is to us and how we need to care and love for them. We created a virtual mission trip. We had that. That's where, a lot of our congregation got to meet our empowerment group that we physically support through the Global Impact dollars that we receive right there in Kenya. And that was really, it's all exciting, but that was maybe the most exciting part of it is that was such a hit.
I participated in that. It was really unbelievable to have this group of people in Kenya right in front of you that we could ask them questions and they could respond to us and they were excited, and I mean it was just uplifting. It was
And
so
I think there'll be more coming on that in the future, hopefully.
Yeah.
Some more communications.
But I'm sure, like everyone else here and around the world, you're looking forward to a time when we're all back together. We can actually take trips, do mission work out in the field safely, and not worry about it. What would be your main message to everyone tonight?
Yeah, again, just remember, Global Impact is that centralized effort for the people of Matthews United Methodist Church to go out and be outside the four walls serving our missional partners. And there's kind of four pillars to that in my mind. There's giving, there's serving, there's sending, and there's praying. And when we talk about giving, as John Pollock said previously, we have an above and beyond model of giving. We do not pull from the general fund. We have our own designated account, and that's what we base our budget on an annual basis. But the beauty of that is when you give to Global Impact, you give to all of those missional partners. When you hear a story of Charlotte Rescue Mission or Hoskins Park or Change Choices or Home to Home Ministry, you've donated. You've helped support that. And that's what's awesome about that giving opportunity. in serving, that's what I believe we're built as Christians to do. It's a byproduct of our faith is to go out and serve someone else above and beyond ourselves. We do that, and we send teams. We sent teams to Lumberton prior to the pandemic, and we're getting very close to, I hope, being able to do that again, set those events and opportunities up for all of us. I think we all are longing to have that interaction again and be able to do that. When we say send, we at Global Impact love the idea that someone wants to go pursue that nudge. And we do it for our youth ministries. We support our Reach mission trips, our senior high mission trips, our college age, young adults, Belize, Haiti, so forth and so on. But we love to support those individuals that feel that nudge. There's been a long list of them that have come from this congregation, and Global Impact has been able to do that because of the donations. Nora Wright and Josh Marshman and Daniel Corpening, and there's so many others. There's a countless list that we could go through.
The fact that we build this into our youth and our youth ministry, and then once they graduate and move on, if they have a calling to do this, you might help them find that opportunity.
Absolutely. It's a critical piece, I believe, to what we're called to do. If you're talking about outside the four walls, it's to help that person nurture that draw, right? That nudge from Christ that maybe this is what I want to pursue. And so we're there to help. We want to help. We want to spiritually. We want to support them through prayer, but we also can financially support them sometimes as well.
I know in missions they say you can go, you can fund by writing a check, and you can pray.
Absolutely, and that's the last of kind of those four pillars that I mentioned. We hope that there will be such a deep connection that someone will connect to one of our missional partners that they'll be in prayer for them. But that may not always be the case. Our pastors every week, every Sunday morning, lift up a Global Impact partner, and that's an opportunity to take that week and maybe just focus your heart and soul on that group.
That's great. Thank you so much, John. We
Absolutely.
appreciate your leadership. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank
John McClendon is the chair of Global Impact, and if you'd like to get involved in mission work, go to the Global Impact website. What's that website address?
Yeah, globalimpactmumc.org.
There you go.
Check it out. All our partners are right there.
And you've been a part of so many of those trips over the year. You're saying that?
I started out with the youth, and the last thing I did was this virtual mission trip, and that provided an opportunity. I want to go to Kenya now. I want to go in person to Kenya to meet this young girl, Faith, that I met on this virtual website.
Part of Zoe Empowers, right?
Part of Zoe Empowers.
Yeah, that's a cool mission for sure, no doubt about it. All right, and we're really excited now to welcome Liz Mokler in tonight. First time you've been with us in one of these. You're the chairperson of Inclusive Grace, which is one of our newer ministries. Tell us a little about Inclusive Grace.
Thanks, Rick, and thank you, Carol, for inviting us. So Inclusive Grace is a reconciling ministry of Matthews United Methodist, which means that we are affirming, welcoming, celebrating LGBTQIA+ persons. And it's really a place for folks who are in that community, their loved ones, folks who have an interest or a passion for supporting them, and folks who are just curious and want to learn and know more. We've actually been working on putting together a little film, and we have a few rough clips to kind of show, just to give folks a flavor of who's in the ministry and what we do.
All right, let's take a look at that.
Members gathered to discuss their feelings about the legislation passed. Out of this sharing sprang an idea: Inclusive Grace.
My name is Cynthia Brown. I am 54 years young, and I was actually born into a church. My father was a pastor. Right now, I am in Joyful Ringers. I have been attending church for the 11 o'clock service. I have missed being here. I have missed the people. I have missed the church. So I'm looking forward to returning to that as a child of God that happens to be gay.
Okay, my name's Will Martin. We moved to Charlotte in '88, and I have been part of the church ever since then. I started with a youth group, and I continued to volunteer with the youth group, and through that was mission trips. I was on staff at the church in 2 different positions. I helped with the facilities and cleaning up, and I was also on the technology side.
I am Jill Stafira. I have belonged to Matthews United Methodist Church for over 20 years. Before moving from Ohio, my ex-husband Larry told me he was gay. Larry knew little of the Methodist doctrine. However, once going to Matthews United Methodist, he felt welcome. He loved the music, sermons, and the people.
My name is Margaret Todd. I have been at Matthews United Methodist for about 20 years now. I have 1 son. He has 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren. My son is a gift from God. He was created by the same loving God that created us all. He is gay. I loved him unconditionally and walked this journey with him, and thank God for him.
Loving, compassionate Christ followers. Many members are longtime Matthews UMC members. One even grew up here. Some joined Matthews in more recent years, and a couple have worked for the church. A few have reconnected with Matthews because of inclusive grace. Finally, others chose Matthews UMC and inclusive grace because they sought a reconciling community for their new church home. Members serve in worship and creative arts, as well as caring ministries and missions. Members support our children and youth ministries, participate in Sunday schools and other studies, and serve any place their spiritual gifts are best suited. You can learn more about Inclusive Grace on the church website and social media.
We are Inclusive Grace, and we are Matthews.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Liz. I know you said these are clips. You guys are working on, you and your team are working on a more in-depth video. Tell us what that final project is going to look like.
Sure. It's going to include a lot of personal stories and anecdotes. You saw some introductions from a few of the folks in those clips, but these go more into how do folks feel about being a Christian, being a Methodist in the current environment? How are they involved in the church? What's been their experience? Have people treated them well? Just kind of an opportunity to really learn more about the experience of our LGBTQ members. And then also it goes into a lot more about what the ministry does and that sort of thing.
There are a few ways we can connect with you. You meet twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, and one of those is called Conversations. Tell us the difference in the regular meeting and the Conversations meeting.
Sure. Well, the regular meeting is more around planning activities for the ministry, as well as providing updates of what's happening within the church and both our local church and the larger church, as well as within Reconciling Ministry Network, that sort of thing, and just general community sharing among members. Conversations are a deliberate time that we set aside once a month on those fourth Wednesdays. We always have a topic. Currently, we're reading the book Torn. It's written from the personal view of a Christian who is gay. And actually, those conversations have gone for several months now because folks are really into the book and the discussion. So we maybe make it through a couple chapters and then we continue it the next time. But we always invite the congregation. You'll see announcements during worship announcements of upcoming conversations. We've had videos that we've watched. We've had guest speakers come. Just a variety of different topics, but they're always designed to have conversation with folks. And all our meetings, but particular our conversations, we open up to the whole congregation, anyone who's interested to learn more.
So it sounds like a lot of encouraging and educational experiences.
Thanks. Yeah, when we first started, Kim asked, well, do you want to be a ministry? Are you a study group, a Bible study? We just said yes. And she kept asking all these different questions.
Right.
And we said yes. So we do try to do a little bit of everything, but particularly with that perspective. Right.
I was taking a look at some of your materials, and you know, we're a church family. We're here to support each other. You have something called Lifelines, I believe, too, right?
That's right, Rick. So one service that we offer are Lifelines. These are, let's say somebody has a personal connection to the LGBTQ community and you're struggling over something. For example, when my child came out to my husband and I, they were in middle school. It was just not something we had ever considered. And I serve as a lifeline to anyone who is in a similar situation, wants to talk to another Christian, wants to know that it's somebody who will be loving and accepting and share in whatever way I can be supported. So these are folks who will meet confidentially, one-on-one, and they're people who've walked similar journeys. So we have folks who are grandparents, folks who are in the community. We have folks who are lesbian, gay, transgender, bi, parents, children of parents who are gay, just a variety of life experiences, and really just meant to be a fellow Christian who'll listen and support.
What a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. Well, we hope folks will take advantage of, if they need a lifeline, not to hesitate. They can send an email to inclusivegrace@matthewsumc.org, or they can speak with one of the pastors and they'll put them in touch with us. Basically, the way the process works is David Wheeler, one of our members who's a licensed psychologist, he actually is our coordinator, so he will talk with the person, figure out what is their need, and then align them with the appropriate lifeline.
Great that we have the resource. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. All right, well, Carol, we're just about at the end of our time, but before we go, Pastor Chuck Wilson has a closing devotional for us, I believe.
I sure do. Thank you very much. You know, Rick, I'm just kind of blown away right now just listening to all the remarkable ministries that are part of the life and ministry of this church, and how God's people just work so very, very hard to make God's love real to our community and to people around us in so many ways. And the ways we do that would be how we reach, how we teach, how we praise, and how we serve. So I'm frankly a little bit overwhelmed right now, just listening
in a good way.
About all of that, in a very, very good way. And just another little footnote, just thinking about remarkable leaders. I mean, like all of you all, the people that we've heard from tonight, just stunning. And I consider it a great privilege. I know Pastor Paul, myself, we both consider it such a wonderful privilege to be a part of the pastoral work of this church. So I'm thinking about a devotional. I really have kind of a personal word tonight for all of us. Not necessarily about the church. It's really me thinking about everyone that has gathered, and it's about your tomorrow, okay? So I want you to just listen to me as I think about your tomorrow. And I've titled it, I Hope You. And think about tomorrow. I hope you find something that helps you to revel tomorrow. I hope you find a flicker of joy or curiosity. I hope it's a good hair day for you tomorrow, and that you get a chance maybe to put your feet up for a little while. I hope you have something really good and tasty to eat, and that you drink a lot of water. I hope you remember to click save as you're working on that file with your computer. I hope you're able to go for a long walk and you get to wave and even speak to some people that you might ordinarily pass. I hope you'll turn off the news and maybe even some music and let your space be silent. I hope you'll read a good essay or get to cross off a few things off of your to-do list. I hope you'll use words like, I love you, and you use them a lot. I hope you work through all those inbox emails so that you can start your day zeroed out. I hope you'll be brave in ordinary ways. I hope you'll believe that your life, as it stands right now, that it matters. And that you are loved always and forever and completely by God. I hope you remember to move that one pile of clothes from the chair to the chest of drawers or the dirty clothes hamper before too long. I hope you find something beautiful outside tomorrow and you feel the fresh air in your lungs, even as it might be a little too chilly. I hope you change your sheets right before bed so that when you slide into bed tomorrow night, you'll thank yourself. I hope you'll remember to switch to decaf after 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. I hope you'll have a good bookmark for a good story, one that makes you want to turn those pages. I hope you'll speak up and use your voice. I hope you'll laugh gently at the ones who thought you were down for the count. I hope your roots would go down deep into the love of God so that you might bear good fruit in this crazy world of ours. Fruit like love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and gentleness and maybe even a little self-control. Maybe. I hope you look at yourself in the mirror tonight and say, not too bad. Or at least say, hey you, and then smile at your own reflection. I hope you welcome the changes in your body as the days pass and the changes in your opinions. I hope you listen to truth, and I hope you remember kindness isn't weak. I hope you sing along to the radio in your car and that you buy a cup of coffee for the person that's behind you in the drive-thru. I hope you light a candle and name what's true even if it hurts a bit. And I hope you laugh so hard at some point tomorrow that you have to catch your breath. I hope you can admit your questions and your doubts without fear of repercussion. I hope you'll have the courage to be teachable. I hope you'll remember to get to pray even if it's as simple as just lighting a candle and breathing in and out for just a moment. I hope you'll wake up in the morning and lay in bed for an extra moment and just say out loud, thank you, and know that you mean it. And I hope that you remember that the most fearless thing that we can do is to just keep showing up with love and grace and joy in our real, right now lives. And now, remember, as I've said to you for the last 15 months so many times, and it's as true today as it was in March of 2020, that God does God's best work in moments just like this.
Thanks, Pastor Chuck. Beautiful, as always. Well, Carol Hatcher, our lay leader, thank you so much. I know it took a lot to put all this together.
Thank you, Rick.
Great
Thank
job,
you
as
for leading
always.
us.
Any closing thoughts for everybody before we leave tonight?
I am so excited to see everyone.
Aren't we all? For sure. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you to everyone who was here tonight. We appreciate you watching as well.